Have you heard me mention an up day as part of my personal fasting protocol, but you have no idea what it means and you're looking for answers? Well, good news, this is the answer you've been looking for. In this video, I'm going to explain how I first learned of up days, how I implement them, when I implement them, and I'm going to link to some really good information for more. My intermittent fasting protocol is typically an OMAD schedule where I eat one meal a day. I don't limit the food, but it's in a shorter time period. Most of my day is spent fasting, and then I spend a little bit of my day eating. However, I really like to add variety, and there are times where I do a down day and an up day. I have previously explained why I do this, and I've also explained what a down day is, and this is my update video. At the end and in the description, I will be linking to a playlist that has up day, down day, and the benefits and why I do them all in a single playlist if you want more information. So be sure to stick to the end to check that out, or you can always hit the link in the description. So part of the fun of an up day is you are intentionally eating longer periods and you're eating more. And this might sound counterintuitive if you have weight loss goals or weight maintenance goals, but I promise you it is something that I have found to be extremely effective in my weight loss and weight management plan. Before I get into all the details of an up day, I do want to share with you that this video is sponsored by Element. Element is an electrolyte drink mix. Specifically, I recommend the watermelon as my all-time favorite. But it is not only delicious, but it gives you exactly what you need, and it doesn't give you any fillers, colors, additives, sugars, all the junk that you don't need. Element is formulated to help everyone with their electrolyte needs, and that's why it's perfect for a down day and an up day approach. Down days and up days go hand in hand. You do a down day, you always follow it with an up day. However, anytime that I did a down day in the past, whether it was a full day fast or a small 500 calorie meal, I would get sore legs. Extended fast always meant I'd get sore legs, and it was suggested to me to incorporate electrolytes. I didn't know if it would work, but it did. Adding electrolytes has helped me to get rid of those sore legs that I was facing anytime I did a down day, and I no longer deal with that, which makes the up days even better. Right now, Element has holiday flavors out where it's a trio of chocolates. There's caramel, mint, and then the regular chocolate salt, and all three of them are absolutely delicious added to iced coffee. Right now, Element is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single-serve packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/fastingfoodie. This deal is only available through my link. You must go to drinkelement.com/fastingfoodie. Thank you so much to Element for sponsoring this video. When I incorporate up days, the first step is to do a down day, and I have an entire video dedicated to a down day, but bottom line, you eat nothing or you eat very little, up to 500 calories is how I implement it. It's intentionally eating less, and it really is a small break in your fast or no break at all. So a down day, accomplished. The next day, you get to have an up day. The end of this video is actually going to be an example of an up day that I did just yesterday. I love having my up days. They give me flexibility, variability, which is really great physically and also mentally. If I did the same thing every day and I felt trapped to a schedule, I wouldn't like it. But having up days gives me different windows, opportunities to eat longer, to participate in events, and I absolutely love up days. However, I want to be sure that I am clear. I did not come up with down days and up days. I did not pioneer this. It is something I learned through reading. When I first started fasting, I read so much. I still enjoy reading. In fact, I have a book on its way right now. These are the 2 books where I feel like I learned the most about alternate day fasting and how I learned to incorporate it into my personal life. First, we're going to start with Fast, Feast, Repeat, which is the book that I recommend every single person read. Even though I share with you guys glimpses and pieces of books as part of how I incorporate it, I really think it's important that you read yourself, because if you have the foundation and the knowledge, you're going to feel so much more secure in the choices that you make. So it's really important to have your own fasting library, to do your own research, and to let me be a complement to that, not your sole source, because I'm not a doctor. I didn't do any of the research. I'm just someone that loves fasting and is a strong believer, and my life has been transformed. Anyways, Fast, Feast, Repeat. We're going to go to Alternate Day Fasting Protocols chapter and page 96. I'm going to read a few passages that I think are really important on page 96. Again, there's a lot more information that Jen discusses. She goes into the research. But one thing that she says at the very top in big bold letters, and she says it multiple times, is on any up day that is directly following a down day, do not purposefully restrict what you were eating or eat within a short eating window. She goes on to suggest to have at least a 6-hour eating window and at least 2 meals, and I follow that religiously. I will not have an up day where I can at least have lunch and dinner, or like I did in the example I'm going to show you, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I like to have the longer eating windows. I make sure that I'm refeeding myself and I don't restrict, because you're restricting on the down day, you don't do it on the up day, which gives you a lot of freedom. Okay, so she goes on to say, on an up day, eat. Even if you end up eating more food than your body needs, as long as you aren't stuffing yourself silly, the up days will be balanced out by the down days. You'll have the fat loss benefits of the down days coupled with the metabolic boosting benefits of the up days. Because eating more and overeating keeps your body from adapting and from getting stuck. One final bit directly from Jen's book. We have research that teaches us that the body is less likely to adapt when you vary the amount you eat from day to day. So from everything that you learn in this book, you really develop a sense of confidence in doing less one day very intentionally, and then making sure you follow it up with this up day. So I really like to have these up days because it gives me variety. It gives me a chance to eat more, which helps me to not ever feel restricted, because I know if I want a day purposely to eat more, if there's events, if there are things that are important to me that are revolved around food, I will have an up day which is intentional. And when I make it intentional, I don't have any of the guilt associated with it. I don't feel bad, and I never stuff myself silly. And so even if I'm overeating, which we'll hear more about in the next book, I don't worry about it. So again, read the alternate day fasting chapter. Those chapter 7 and those pages specifically were 96 and 97. But Jen does a wonderful job of really instilling confidence in doing the up days and the down days. The next book, The Fast Diet. This is from Dr. Michael Mosley, and I want to share with you a few things. If you're reading page 30 through 32, we'll give you the exact area that I'm talking about with this. His whole approach is actually doing down days and up days. So in Dr. Mosley's book, he talks about another doctor who did clinical research on alternate day fasting, Dr. Krista Vardy. In summary, Dr. Vardy kind of expected that in alternate day fasting, that on the up days that people would eat maybe 175% of the caloric needs. However, they didn't, because they were satisfied and were able to refeed and refuel with about 110% was the average. And again, more details are in here or in her research. Refeed days were only actually about 110% of daily caloric needs, so it's not giant. And also, the really interesting thing, they had some participants eat a low-fat diet within those refeed days, and then they had some participants that weren't given the low-fat restrictions. And the really cool thing is, the people that weren't restricted actually lost more weight, and they believe that it's because they weren't constrained to low-fat diet that they felt more comfortable to follow the protocols. The freedom of choice and the freedom to eat what sounded good to them, they didn't break the rules, and they were more able to follow it actually because they didn't have such constraints of a low-fat diet, and they were actually able to enjoy it. So they actually lost more weight. So reading these texts really got me to understand down days are important, but the up day is really equally important, and I don't worry about eating more that it's going to ruin anything. I have been doing this for 2.5 years. I do a down day followed by an up day once a week, and it has really helped me to lose the weight and maintain my weight loss. I love this. I have a whole nother video dedicated to why I do down days and up days, so I'm not going to go into necessarily the benefits of it, but I am going to share with you how I implement alternate day fasting and when. So the when is really flexible. I try to do it once a week, but it's not like a Monday and then a Tuesday. It's any day that I find a reason I want to eat more. For instance, if I have an opportunity to meet a friend to go out to eat, and I still want to eat dinner with my family that night, that would be a perfect up day. So then I will intentionally eat less the day before and then eat more the following day. Then I not only get to meet the friend, I get to enjoy that meal, but I set it up intentionally so there's no guilt, shame, anything that a prior diet would have had. So when we hear about the overeating and not limiting fats and those people still losing weight, it makes sense because as we talked about with the Gin book, variability keeps your body from getting in a routine. So you want the variety. Even if it means you have some days of overeating, you don't have to worry about it. And as Dr. Vardy says, it really would be very hard to double your caloric needs unless you do that routinely. So to do it every once in a while, to do an up day once a week, you're not going to double your caloric needs. So now that we know there is science backing up days, refeeding, and that it's important, and that overfeeding, if it happens on your up days, isn't going to be the end of the world and actually might help you, when do you do it? If we're traveling, I almost always would rather fast instead of having an on-the-go meal. It's just not my favorite. There are days where we are traveling from Michigan to Maryland, and what we would eat on the road just doesn't sound window worthy or appetizing. I would rather get the benefit of a down day, and then I'll have an up day when we're at our destination. So if I'm traveling, when we went to Disney, I fasted the entire day home because I had ate so much at Disney, and I'd rather have an up day when we're home and I can cook better food and have better food options. Airport and McDonald's on the way home just didn't cut it for me. It wasn't worth it. Did I have to make that choice? No. If I wanted McDonald's, could I have chose that as my one meal a day? Of course. But I decided I don't want to eat this day, so then the next day is an up day. It works really well. If there are days like I want to go to a bridal shower in the middle of the day, I use this one a lot in videos as examples because it's something that's happened. Bridal showers, baby showers, those are midday things. And generally I still like to eat dinner with my family. So if I have something where I want to eat lunch and I want to eat dinner later, I purposely plan that to be an up day, which means I do a down day the day before. Holidays are the same thing. Am I going to want to eat and graze all day on Christmas Day? Yes. So I could have a down day the day before. The options are really endless. And once you really understand how to implement up days and you get the freedom of the variety in your windows and what you're eating, you're gonna understand how and when you like to implement them. Don't do a down day and not give yourself a proper up day, because your body will adapt to over restriction, and the variability is a really important part. So as we mentioned earlier, Jen warns, do not diet, do not restrict on your up days. It is really important. So if you get to 6 hours and you're still not hungry because you had that ultimate breakfast like I did, keep going. Wait 8 hours, wait 10 hours, and then have your second meal. It's really important to have refeed before you fast again. I'm gonna give you an example of my update right here. So I started my update by going to breakfast with a friend. I had been fasting just about 19 hours and I ordered the ultimate breakfast. As I mentioned, I knew this would be a ton of food, but I wanted all varieties. I was pretty hungry at this point and food sounded good, so I was able to eat the biscuits and gravy, bacon, sausage, eggs, hash brown toast, and French toast. I did not eat all of it, and I didn't feel the need to eat all of it, but I ate a lot of it. So it was delicious. I got the joy of my friendship. I then ran errands for a number of hours, and part of what I picked up was pork buns from an Asian restaurant and grocery chain. And it was authentic. They were warm when I was there, and they did an upsell. I was at the register and they said, "Would you like to order pork buns?" And I had no plans of ordering pork buns, but they looked really delicious and I've always wanted to try them. So I got them. I had my Panera bubbly with lemonade and Element. I made that up, and then I ate about half of a pork bun because when I started eating, I wasn't that hungry, even though it had been about 4 hours since I ate my breakfast. I just had a little bit of it, and I didn't feel the need to overstuff, but I didn't feel restricted. So I ate it, I tried it, it was pretty darn good. I can say that I've ate a pork bun now, and I fasted on until dinner. We had Crunchwrap Supremes, homemade, copycat of the Taco Bell. I had avocado, fresh pineapple. We had salsa. I used Greek yogurt instead of my sour cream. We had all the toppings, and it was very delicious. It was a very satisfying meal. I had beans and beef and lettuce, onion, so many good things on mine. And it was a delicious dinner. My girls and I each had a Christmas cookie, and that was the end of my eating window. It was 8 hours long. I was very satisfied. I didn't feel restricted, but I also didn't feel the need to shove my face full of everything all day long. And here's one thing I will say. At the beginning of my fasting journey, I may have felt like I would shove my face the entire up day, but you do learn to adapt. You learn what makes you feel good. You learn what doesn't make you feel good, and it's one day. So if you do it once a week and you are stuffing yourself silly at first, you're gonna adjust. You're gonna see, okay, stuffing myself silly for 6 hours really doesn't make sense. I didn't feel good. You're gonna make adjustments over time. That is personally what happened to me. And having a down day and an up day once a week while I was actively losing weight, I think was really, really important to my protocols and really helps me to maintain the weight loss here 2.5 years later. Now that you know what I know on up days, if you wanna learn more about down days or you wanna see why I do alternate day fasting or more examples, check out this playlist right here. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao, donna ciao.